and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne. I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about the best Class B RV brands to consider buying now. And some people call them camper vans. If that's how you refer to them, well, that's just fine. It's not a problem. But in this video, we'll be calling them the Class B RV. So what are Class B RVs or camper vans anyway? Well, they are an RV that's built on a passenger van shell and chassis. So the builder buys the shell and chassis from the manufacturer and then makes an RV out of it. They're very popular these days and they're growing in popularity. They're also very good for single RVers and for couples. Now let's talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of Class B RVs before we get into the brands. And the number one pro is that they're very easy to drive. If you can drive a passenger car, well then most likely you can drive a Class B RV. It's that simple. And they're very nimble in traffic and on the highway. So a lot of people love that. Next up is that they offer generally better gas mileage than most other RV types because of their size. And who doesn't like that? The next one on the list is there's no need for a second vehicle for around town driving unless you just want to bring one along with you. You know, when you have a Class C or a Class A motorhome, well, then you probably need to bring another vehicle for around town driving because they're not easy to drive around town and fit in a lot of places. But with a Class B RV, it can become your RV and your around town vehicle at the same time. And that's really great, especially because they fit in a lot of parking spaces too. Next up on the pro list is the chassis and the shell are generally easier to maintain and to repair than other motorhomes. Again, the chassis and shell comes from a passenger vehicle manufacturer, so you can use their service facilities to maintain and repair them. Also, the shell is more of a one-piece unit than other motorhomes. Class C's and Class A's, they have the walls on each side, and they put the front cap and the end cap up next to it, and you have this big joint and seam that goes there. That's not there in a Class B RV. It's more like a car in that respect. So a lot easier to maintain on the outside. Next up is that the small Class B RV can fit in almost any campsite. So if there is a campsite out there in an RV park or in a campground, chances are that you're going to be able to fit into it, even the national park campsites. And that's a big point for a lot of people. But now let's talk about the cons. The number one con, and you can't escape it, is the very tight living space. Yes, they are small. And it means that you don't have a lot of room to move around in them. There's no slides in Class B RVs. Also, headroom can be a little bit of an issue for taller RVers as well. Next up on the list of cons, there's very little storage space in RVs too. They put everything that they can into this small space. Something has to be sacrificed, and one of those things is storage space. There's ways around that, but it is a challenge. Next on the list is the toilet and the shower are often combined together. Again, you're trying to get as much as you can in a relatively small space, so the builders often combine the shower and toilet together. A lot of people don't like that, so you have to determine where you stand on that issue. Next up is there's also usually smaller holding tanks. Again, it's the space issue. So for boondockers, well, they can't really just stay out there a long time in a Class B RV. And the final con we'll talk about is they're more expensive per square foot than almost any other RV type out there. And it can be surprising sometimes when you start shopping for Class B RVs to find out how much they actually cost for their size. Well, those are the pros and the cons. And if the cons don't bother you a whole lot, they're manageable for your situation, well, then the Class B RV can be a great choice for you. But what brands are known for making good quality Class B RVs? Well, I made a guidebook that actually covers all the brands that I personally recommend for your consideration in all the price ranges. They're the brands where you really should start if you're looking for a Class B RV. But this video is going to cover about 3 of those brands that's in my guidebook. And let's start with number 1. And that is an iconic RV manufacturer, Airstream. Now, when I say Airstream, everybody, of course, thinks of their travel trailers going down the road. And rightly so, because they've been building them for 85 years or so. So that comes to mind right away. But now they're also in the Class B RV category too. And just like with the travel trailers, they tend to be in the higher range of Class B RVs. Now, as far as their offerings are concerned, they have 7 different models for you to choose from. So a lot of variety there. There's offerings for on-road and off-road camping too. And they give you the choice of Mercedes Sprinter or Ram ProMaster chassis to choose from, and that's good as well. Next up on our brand list is Winnebago. Again, what an iconic manufacturer. They've been building RVs since 1966, and even though they build some travel trailers now, they are known for motorhomes. That's where they made their bread and butter. So the offerings that they're going to give you is, once again, 7 different models to choose from. And you can find on-road Class Bs and off-road models too. And that's great. And once again, they're going to let you choose between the Mercedes Sprinter and the Ram ProMaster chassis for their models. Finally, the last brand that we're going to talk about today is the Integra. Now, Integra doesn't have quite the pedigree that Airstream and Winnebago does. In other words, they don't go way back in history in the RV industry. They're newer to RVs, but they have a lot to offer. In fact, in my opinion, they give you more bang for the buck that you spend. So if you're on a budget, then Integra could be a very good choice for you. Now, as far as their offerings are concerned, they give you 4 models, so they're not quite as varied in what they're going to offer you. Again, on-road and off-road RVs, but they give you a little more choice in the chassis department. Not just the Mercedes Sprinter or the Ram ProMaster, they also give you a choice of the Ford Transit as well. And a lot of people like to have the choice between all 3. Well, those are the 3 brands that I wanted to cover today. They're the ones I wanted to share with you as a good place to start when you're looking for Class B RVs on the newer market. Are there other brands that I can recommend? Absolutely. And once again, if you want to get all the brands that I feel you need to be looking at first, well, then download my guidebook and it will give you that information, and you'll get my personal assistance too in your search for an RV if you would like to have it. And my final point here today is always remember that you need to use an RV inspector on any new or used RV that you're considering for purchase. That way you can get all the information about the issues that need attention on that RV and then get those issues fixed before you take delivery and take that RV home. If you'll do that, well, then you'll have a better buying experience than many other RV buyers. I hope that what I've shared with you today will be beneficial. I hope that in the end, you will find the perfect Class B RV for your needs. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.